Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we are having our very first fire of the season today, and we thought we would share that with you guys.
Also, we thought today would be a perfect day to sit down in front of the wood stove and have a Q&A. Yesterday, I posted a question on our Facebook page and our YouTube community tab asking if you guys just have questions for us and that we would sit down today and record answers to them.
Right, and we were overwhelmed with the amount of people who asked questions, so that was exciting. We ended up picking about 30 different questions. We printed them all out. We put them here in this bowl. And you guys, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get through all 30 of these questions. We're not going to spend more than a minute tops on each one. And we are just going to try to blast through these and answer as many of these questions as we can, just randomly as we pick them out of the bowl.
So I think we'll go back and forth picking and reading and answering and all that kind of thing. There are some questions that are more specific to one person or another. So that's kind of how we're going to work this. So let's just get started. Do you can or pickle any fruit? And if so, what's your go-to recipes? Or do you mostly freeze dry or freeze them? Well, we actually don't have a whole lot of fruit that we produce right now. We have wild blackberries. That's really all that our property produces right now. A few years ago, I think 3 years ago now, we planted an orchard, and none of those trees are producing yet.
Right. Another couple years, hopefully.
Yeah, we have gone, obviously, blackberry picking. We've gone blueberry picking at a blueberry farm. And the blackberries I normally can in just a syrup. And the blueberries we just freeze because Kevin absolutely loves blueberries in his yogurt.
Right.
And as of right now, that's really all we're doing for fruit.
Do you do all of your own video work? Who films your videos? Besides a camera on a tripod or each other, do the girls assist with the videos? Yes, we do all of our own video work. We do all of our own editing. We don't have someone who edits videos for us. And we do all of our own filming. On a very, very rare occasion, we might ask our daughter Samantha to do a little bit of filming for us, but that's maybe once a year, and we do a lot of videos. So our other daughter, Grace, as many of you know, is grown up and married now, so she's not around to do any filming for us. So it really is just the two of us, and that has always been the goal of our homestead, is to have our homestead and everything that we do on here manageable by just the two of us.
And we both do all parts depending on the video, depending on the day. So we both know how to do all the processes.
Right.
When do you fertilize your orchard? Well, we fertilize our orchard trees in the spring. Sometimes we use compost, sometimes we use blood meal, sometimes we use traditional fertilizer, but always in the spring or late winter, right before bud break.
What do you miss most about the conventional lifestyle? I thought this was an interesting question when we originally saw it, and after giving it some thought, I think my answer would be a quitting time. When you're a homesteader or when you're self-employed like we are, you really don't have a quitting time. So you pretty much work all the time. Now there's a lot of benefits to that. You have a lot more freedom to go do things whenever you want, but you're also always kind of on the clock. When you have a conventional job, you have a distinct quitting time. You can kind of leave work at work. When your whole life is your work, it just doesn't happen that way.
What is your most favorite tool or appliance that you use in the kitchen? Both inexpensive and pricey. I would say I use my crock pot the most out of anything in the kitchen, with the exception of our coffee maker.
Right.
So I'd say crock pot, coffee maker. We also grind all of our own beans right now. I also really like our little cheap espresso maker that we have. It's nothing expensive. It's just like a Mr. Coffee. So I think those are probably my favorite because we use all of those almost every day.
How do you deal with watering all the animals in the freezing weather and keep the water from freezing, especially the pigs? Well, we don't use any automatic waterers in the winter. As soon as things starts to freeze, we pretty much stop with the automatic waterers. Now, this time of year right now, we can still get by with pretty much turning stuff off overnight, turning it back onto the day because our daytime temps are coming up above freezing. Once everything is frozen all the time, we pretty much switch everybody to the big rubber pans, And then we just go out a couple times a day and fill them up. We break the ice out and fill them up. That's what makes winter, that's probably the hardest part of the entire winter, is keep making sure everybody always has water.
What new career field do you think that you would like to try if you were not in the agricultural field? I've actually thought about this. If I would want to go back into the traditional kind of work field, I think I would want to be an ultrasound tech.
Honestly, I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but fishing tour guide sounds pretty good, I think. I think that's what I would want to do. Do you have a storm cellar / safe room at your new property? No, we don't. It is something that is on the list to get, hopefully maybe by next spring or so when we get back into tornado season. For right now, we don't. We do have a big crawl space under this house. It's about almost 4 feet in the front area, so we could get under there if we need to. We just haven't decided if we want to do another in-ground one like we had at our old house, or if we want to do like a safe room inside of the workshop or something like that. So we're still kind of making those plans, but it is on the list of things to get.
What sort of breakfast do you eat on a keto diet? Actually, yes, Kevin and I are on a keto diet, but we also do intermittent fasting, and we actually don't eat breakfast at all.
Right. How are your cows doing? They're actually doing really well. We still have them on grass. We don't plan to start feeding hay anytime soon. We still have quite a bit of grass for them to be eating. We had a great calving season this year. All 10 of our cows had a calf, so that was exciting. Now, one thing we didn't share with you guys, unless you subscribe to our newsletter, then you already know this, but we got rid of our bull, Tex. We actually just sold him a couple days ago and dropped him off at his new home, so that next spring we can get a new bull and be able to breed all of Tex's daughters, which we didn't want to breed them back to Tex. So all of the cows are doing great. We'll be weaning calves here soon, and then we'll have all of our cows ready to breed again next year.
Are you happy with where you decided to settle and build your homestead, and do your children agree? Well, we are very happy about our move to southern Missouri. We love it here. The people are great. The climate is wonderful. We just love the lifestyle here. We absolutely love our new property here where we've been living since almost a year, since last November. Everything is perfect, and we really enjoy that. Are our kids happy? They absolutely are happy that we moved away from the big city in the Phoenix area to the country. Small school environment for them. They really have enjoyed it.
Right. But also keep in mind, we don't really have children anymore.
Right.
Our oldest daughter is all grown up, and our youngest daughter is a senior in high school. So we don't have little ones anymore. We're kind of moving on to the next phase of our life. Are you using the same internet on your new homestead? Are they running high-speed rural internet in your area as well? Great question. As you know, since we've moved to the out into the country, we've had a lot of different internet providers, and for the most part, they've all been terrible. Mm-hmm. But for about the last 2 years now, we have had Starlink. We were actually one of the first people in our area to be able to get it just because we signed up super early. We were actually on a waiting list for like a year before we got it. But once we got it, you guys, it has been an absolute game changer as far as speeds. We can stream as much as we want. Uploading our videos has gotten so much easier. When we used to have a different satellite provider, it would take us about 12 hours to upload a video. With Starlink, it takes average of about 2 hours. Now, that being said, with as good as Starlink is, they did just this summer run fiber internet down our road way out here in the country. It isn't active yet, but they said it's supposed to be active the first part of next year. I think we will probably switch to fiber internet once that becomes available, because it's supposed to be even, 1,000 times faster than what Starlink is. So I think we will probably switch, but right now we are very happy with Starlink.
What's your biggest piece of advice for new YouTubers? Over the years, we've been asked this several times, and our answer is really always the same. Consistency, and publish videos on a schedule and make that promise to your viewers and stick to it.
And I would also just add, stay focused on what your channel is. If it's a homesteading channel, focus on homesteading, and just kind of, stay in that lane. Don't try to do a million different things. How are your dairy cows coming along? So our dairy heifer, her name is Babe. She is pregnant and should be calving, I think, sometime within the next month or so. We don't know an exact date because we just had her in with our bull, so we don't know an exact date that she was bred, but we're hoping within the next month. And then our dairy cow Rose, as many of you know, we sold several months ago, and she is with a new family. So we decided that one dairy cow was all we needed for our homestead. That provides plenty of milk to do everything that we want to do, and one Jersey in milk will be just fine.
What do you miss about Arizona? That's a good question, a fair question. I think what we miss the most about Arizona is really good Mexican food.
Right.
Because we haven't quite found anything like that in our area. And also we miss the citrus.
Right. Now we are pretty good at making good Mexican food.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes it's nice to go out as well. Is there anything you've always wanted to try but decided not to for some reason, like an animal, outbuilding, garden technique, etc.? Of course there are. You know, there's always things that you would like to try, but we've learned over time to, first of all, not rush into things, and that not everything is appropriate for every homestead. So I've thought about and actually done a lot of research into doing like aquaponics. It's just something that has never really panned out for our homestead. I don't have a good spot to do it, and I just haven't really, it just never felt like it was the right time. So that's one thing. I don't know. Of course, there are different animals that we would like to try, but again, because of fencing or housing or whatever, it just never is right. So I think if anyone is honest, they have to say there are things they would like to try but just haven't, and you have to sometimes come to the realization, though, that not everything is right for every homestead.
Do the American breast hens go broody? We actually did have several hens go broody this summer. We never allowed them to hatch any eggs out. That's something that I would like to experiment with or try next year. But we were actually really surprised that several of them went broody in the 2 flocks that we have.
Right. Do you think you guys will ever retire, and what does that look like for you? That's a tough question. I don't think when you make this kind of lifestyle your entire lifestyle that you ever really retire, and I don't think we ever will. I do think at some point down the road we will scale back quite a bit. Now, keep in mind, we're only 47 years old, so we've got a long time before I think we get anywhere near thinking about being retired. So I feel like we're still quite young, we still have a lot of energy, we still have a lot that we can accomplish. So this is, I mean, I'm talking maybe 20 years down the road. At that point, I think we will probably scale back at some, but a lot of that will depend on, you know, kids and grandkids and how involved all of that wants to be and where we've taken this place by then. So that's a really tough question to answer.
Do you still have your beagles? Yes, we do. We have 2 beagles, a male and a female, Rosie and Bubba, and they are doing well, and they primarily sleep.
They primarily lay on the couch.
Yeah, so we love them so much. And we have.
Where does Kevin get his shirts? I guess it's a good thing I got this one. I like all the funny sayings on them. The Tomato Whisperer is my current favorite. I don't get my shirts in any one certain place, which is why it's always been difficult to answer that question. A lot of you have asked that. I pretty much, when I see a funny shirt that I like, I just get it. So there isn't just one current place. Now, I will tell you, though, the Tomato Whisperer shirt, that was actually a Father's Day present from my mom this year. So I think she just bought it on Amazon, but she thought it was a good fit for me. And I would have to agree that if there was such a thing as a Tomato Whisperer, I would want to be it.
Will you point me to where I can learn to water bath can? Absolutely. I have done a bunch of canning videos over the years, and we have a canning playlist. So you can go to our playlists on our YouTube channel and learn about a ton of things to can.
How do you think you'll homestead differently as you get older? Okay, I guess this kind of goes back to the last question. So again, we're not that old.
Right.
You know, I feel like we've got a long time before I would consider ourselves old. But I think we'll probably just scale back. I don't think we'll probably give up much of anything, but I think we'll scale back as we get older. The raised beds, while we didn't decide to switch to raised beds for any reason like that, we switched because our ground is terrible. I do think raised bed gardening when you're older is probably easier than in-ground gardening. But I think mainly we'll probably just scale back on what we do.
Were you able to put your cast iron rack up in your new home? Yes, we do have the cast iron rack up. You guys don't see it on our kitchen videos because it's actually on the opposite wall of what you guys see when we film in the kitchen. But it's up and I love it.
What was or is your favorite thing about each of the homesteads you've had? That's a good question. I'll go first. I think we should both answer this one. I think our homestead in Arizona, my favorite thing was all of the citrus trees. That's the thing I absolutely missed the most about that homestead. We had about 14 citrus trees. We had oranges, lemons, limes, tangerines. We had both juicing and navel oranges. So I definitely missed the citrus the most. As far as our previous homestead here in Missouri, what I miss most really is the wooded areas. Even though it was considerably smaller than what we have now, the wooded areas were much flatter and really better for hunting than where we are now. We do have a lot of flat land on this homestead as well, but it's more open. It's like our hayfield in those areas. So I miss having flat wooded land, and that property had quite a bit of it.
And for me, for our homestead in the Phoenix area, I miss the citrus too, but we also had established pecan trees on that property. We had a date palm tree and established mulberries. So really just all of that goodness I miss. And the previous homestead that we had here in the Missouri.
A huge fig tree. Remember the huge fig tree?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, huge fig tree. And then our other homestead that we had here in the Missouri area, really just the storage. The house there had a whole lot of storage, and we added some cabinets and things. So this house, even though it's bigger, it doesn't have as much usable storage inside the house, and I guess I do miss that.
How do you guys work so well together? Working and living together can be a challenge. What's your secret? Well, we do work really well together. We have, we've been married over 25 years now. We've learned to work well together. I won't say that we always work well together. You guys see what we decide to put in videos. One thing we decided early on in our videos is that we're never going to show you guys if we argue. We just don't think it's respectful to our marriage. We don't think it's anything that anybody needs to see. Now, that being said, I would say 95% of the time we get along great while we're working together. We just enjoy each other's company. We have very similar interests. And that's something that we've made a very conscious decision to do over the years. We've never thought it was a good idea in a marriage to have like girls' time and guys' time. And, while we don't do everything together every day, our interests are the same. So we enjoy being together.
How do you have so much energy? Do you take supplements or natural remedies? Do you clean with natural cleaners? Well, I think overall we have a lot of energy because you guys, we're still young yet. We've said 3 times, I think, in this video already. We're 47, so we feel like we're still very young. We prioritize eating as healthy as we can. Right. We prioritize getting enough sleep. And, one thing that we've been prioritizing a lot lately is maintaining a healthy weight for our bodies and our sizes. And I think that helps us now, and that's going to help us in the future.
Right. Surprisingly, I think we have found that since we've started doing intermittent fasting, we have a ton more energy. In fact, we normally don't eat until 1 p.m. And we can tell you that as soon as we eat, we start to feel sluggish. So there's something about the intermittent fasting, I think, that gives you a ton of energy, and it also just frees up more of your time. Right. So you worry less about, having to make breakfast and take the time for all of that. We just move on with our day, and we get a lot accomplished.
We do use natural cleaners, and most of those are from Azure Standard, where I buy that in bulk, and then I can, refill my little bottles and stuff. But yes, we do. Right.
And Sarah's not really into supplements. I take more supplements than Sarah, but to be honest, these days, the only thing that I really take consistently, and I have been for about 5 years now, really, is I take grape seed extract. Not grapefruit seed extract, grape seed extract. And I take that because it's a natural blood pressure medication. So when I was a little bit overweight, my blood pressure was starting to creep up. It was never bad, but it was a little bit higher than it should have been. And the grapeseed extract brought that down into the normal level. To be honest, now that I've lost almost 30 pounds, my blood pressure is great, and I don't really probably need it, but I continue to take it because high blood pressure does run in my family, and I don't want any issues. Why don't you folks raise potatoes, onions, carrots, and sweet corn? Well, there's a good reason we really don't raise those things, and it mostly goes back to our diet. We eat a keto diet, which means low carb, pretty much no sugar, except we have just recently decided that Sundays will be a little bit of a cheat day for us because we do have a potluck every Sunday after church, and it was getting hard for us to be able to stay and eat at church because most people don't eat the way we do. So other than that, we eat pretty much low carb, no sugar diet. And you guys, the things that were listed here, well, except for onions. So potatoes, carrots, and sweet corn are pretty much out when you're living a keto lifestyle. And onions, you guys, we have planted in the past. We've grown, a fair amount, but they're just not high on our priority list. They're not expensive to buy in the store. They're not part of what's called the dirty dozen, which is like the foods you should never buy in a store because they're so sprayed with chemicals.
Or you should buy them
organic. So onions are just one of those things that, every year we grow a few, but we don't grow a lot, and we just buy the rest as we need them.
When y'all travel, who takes care of y'all's animals, or do y'all travel for any length of time? Well, we have a lot going on here. You guys know that. And so the real answer is we very, very rarely leave the homestead together.
Right.
So that one of us is always here to kind of hold down the fort. It's a lot of work for just one of us to do when the other is gone. So
we very rarely leave separately either, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time it's just me so that I can go visit my parents who live out of state. There's been one time recently that we've been able to go together. We went to Kentucky to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, and we did have a family that we trust, that we know from church, come and take care of our animals. But that really has to be very rare for us because of really the level of responsibility it is just to take care of everything we have going at different times of the year.
Right. Like we would never ask someone to take care of this place during the springtime when we have sometimes, like last year, 3,000 plant starts to take care of. That's just too much responsibility to ask someone else to take care of. And
when we have a cow and milk, there are very few people around us that know how to milk a cow, that are comfortable with an animal that large.
Well, and our milker and our cow and
the cleaning process and, refrigerating the milk and, it's just a lot to ask somebody. So on the rare occasion that we do leave the homestead, we have a family that we trust that cares for it for us.
All right, I think the final question. Ooh, okay. What is the one thing you'd add to your homestead if money or location wasn't a factor? To me, this is a no-brainer. If money were no factor, now it is a factor, but if money were no factor, I would install the best, biggest, nicest fishing pond that I could install. It'd probably be considered more of a private lake, to be honest. That's what I would do because I love to fish. And we just never have the time to actually be able to go fishing because the nearest lake is a couple hours away or a little over an hour away. And so, and the lake we really like to go to is a couple hours away. Mm-hmm. So I would install a big pond that would be able to provide all the fishing that I wanted to do. And so that would be what I would do. What would you do?
I'd probably do the same thing because I like to fish too. I mean, that's what we did when we were dating.
Right.
When we were first dating at 19 years old, we'd go fish.
Right. So I guess the pond has to be twice the size because we both want a big pond.
Well, I'll fish right next to you, but I won't steal your fishing spot.
Right. So there you go, you guys. 30 questions in, I don't know how long this is going to be once it's edited. Hopefully about 30 minutes or less. We hope that this was fun for you guys. We had a good time looking through all of these questions. We hope to do this more down the road. It's always nice to be able to answer directly with you guys what you want to know about us.
You guys, if you're enjoying videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And as always, the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.